Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Phyllis Diller said it correctly. Maybe it's true that life begins at 50. But everything else starts to wear out, fall out, or spread out. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, good morning. Oh, thank you very much, and welcome to Zeb at the Ranch. And, of course, I'd like to say good morning to everybody. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, including Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call and get on the route service today at 734-6969. Right now on a Monday morning, a busy Monday morning, we have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Well, how are you?
Well, I'm fine.
All right.
Beautiful day that God has created for us.
Amen to that.
It's gorgeous.
Amen. Let's have the pledge, if you would, please.
You got it, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Doug, I know you're going to be calling back a little bit later. We have got, and I'll tell you and everybody else, a busy schedule now that we're into the political aspect of our program. So bear with us, and thank you for doing the pledge this morning.
You're welcome, sir.
All right. Thank you. Time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by our dear friends, and they are our dear friends at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door, and don't forget they've got everything over there on sale. My goodness. In honor of Kyle and Whitney Cheney getting married in October, they got a great big, huge fall sale going on right now at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. And right now, here's the weather.
Looks like we're in for some rain showers for the next couple of days, and it is going to be windy. It looks like we are in a wind advisory through about 6 o'clock tonight, so be careful if you're out there. Winds out of the west steady, about 20 miles an hour, gusts possible 35 plus. Rain showers off and on for today, high of 52 tonight, low of 38. Tomorrow, more rain showers in the forecast, going to be windy as well, high of 47 with an overnight low of 31. And as we get towards midweek, hopefully we're going to see some sunshine, looking at a high of 53 for Wednesday with an overnight low of 31. Thursday, mostly sunny, 61 and maybe 65 for Friday. Yesterday's high was 60. The overnight low was 41. That's your weather for Zep at the Ranch.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you very much. Brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for that blue door. Really nice people. As I said a moment ago to Doug, we have got a lot of spots for our politicals on the air starting today. And bear with us. We're going to do the best we can, but I also want to remind you we're going to have a lot of interesting guests, too, with a lot of topics that are pertinent to what's going on in our world today, so don't you go away. Hey, by the way, Daryl's Cleaners, oh my goodness sakes, restore old items, my goodness, and dry cleaning helps prolong the life of garments. You know that. You should know that. You stop in and see the best today, and they are at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And Kevin and Cindy and the whole crew, if you prepay, you'll get an additional 10% off on your bill. So why don't you stop in there today at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And don't forget our friends at SafeLink Internet. Man, they have extended their hours of technical support, and they are fast, they are reliable, and believe me, you should be on the program. We have been for a long time. 677-8000, the number to call, 677-8000, SafeLink Internet. You call them, get on the program, tell them old Zeb Bell sent you. They are the best. We have got some birthdays, and we'd like to acknowledge them right now. Yesterday, Gloria Struken had her birthday. Happy birthday to you. And today, a lovely lady in Kimberly is having a birthday, and I know her and her husband listen in the morning. Wanda Sievers. So, Wanda Sievers, Gloria Struken, happy birthday, and many, many more. There you go. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. On November 8th, vote yes on HJR5. Your voice needs to be heard, and you should always be able to hold our state government accountable. Vote yes on HJR5. Don't let activist courts take away our legislature's authority to approve or reject agency rules. Vote yes on HJR5. Vote yes on HJR5, paid for by Speaker of the House Scott Bedke, Representative Fred Wood, and Senator Kelly Anthon. And also, real quick, I'm trying to double up the catch-up. I want to remind you about our dear friend Jack Johnson, running for Twin Falls County Commissioner in District 3. He wants a balanced approach to economic and agricultural needs and also to enhance mental health assistance to veterans. He wants to be a part of business and community and help. Paid for by Elect Jack Johnson for Commissioner, Darren Kyle, Treasurer. All right, your calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. A lot of things in the news. Excuse me for the cough. I do apologize. 22 days left to the election. 22 days. Now, what is interesting is that as of this morning, I've been following this with some of my friends back in Washington, D.C. and New York. The numbers, the polling numbers, are extremely close. You're saying, what? Remember the comment that Hillary made about 2-3 weeks ago? Well, I can't understand why I'm not 50 points ahead. Well, the reason is, Hillary, nobody likes you. And it's really becoming apparent Newt Gingrich, Frank Luntz, and many others are paying much closer attention to what's going on today than they were maybe a week or so ago, because the numbers are extremely close. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zed. It kind of looks like the politicians up there in Utah are abandoning Trump instead of working with the guy. I get the feeling that maybe the people from the Mormon religion are going to go against Trump, and their votes will kind of go toward Clinton. And that's something I've been thinking about over the weekend.
I'm not going to say that would be an all-inclusive statement, because I know a lot of my friends and my neighbors that absolutely do not want Hillary Clinton in the White House in any way, shape, or form, and I have not heard them weaken at all regarding standing up for not so much Donald Trump, but the advocacy that we want change, but not with Hillary taking on Obama and making his 8 years 4 more years of the worst.
Well, she dragged us down into the mud, and I hope that, boy, let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that she just goes down in flames.
Well, whatever statement we make like that, down in flames or whatever, we'll always have some retribution against us because the left is so quick to come out and try to damn us or whatever. You know, I got to tell you, Tony, that I'm going to keep fighting every day up until the election to just really tell the truth about what Hillary is and what she isn't. And quite frankly, some of the stories that are coming out about her being, and I won't use the word on the radio. It starts with a B, and I'll let you go ahead and fill in the blanks. But many of the people that work with her say she's so phony, so crass, so much of again, starting with a B and not going on the radio, it was used in press, but I'm not going to lower my standards here, that they don't want her, they don't want to be around her. She's got the personality of, well, I can't go there either.
Well, I think that one retired Secret Service guy brought all that out.
Yeah.
Well, she's a real bee.
You scared me, Tony. You scared me.
I am.
Yeah, okay, buddy. God bless you, man. Say hello to Mary this morning.
I certainly will.
All right.
Bye.
They don't like her. They don't trust her. They don't want anything to do with her. You know, another thing that is really bad, and I don't know if you heard about this story or not, but now that the gap in the possibility of having Trump be very close to Hillary before Wednesday night's debate, the third and final debate, 3 or 4 percentage points in the polls, basically with that kind of a slippage in the polls, they're almost dead even. They are almost dead even. Caller, I'll be right with you. Have patience with me. I got to get some commercials in. I'll be right with you. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Hello, Ramsey's. How you doing this morning? Open the doors at 7:30 till 5, Monday through Friday. And the number to call is 678-0459. And they can have your furnace filters waiting for you on the counter. Yes, they can, because they know you're going to be using that furnace. It's getting cooler. Check out the best of furnace filters right there at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Nice people. Don't forget, too, Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley, America's Diner. It's true. It's a great place to eat. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner, anytime, all the time. My goodness. You stop in, you're going to love the food. You're going to love the people. You're going to love the atmosphere. Very, very nice. 611 Overland in Burley on 291 Pole Line in Twin Falls. You bet, buddy, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. And we're going to be over there next week on the 27th. Don't miss that. Zeb's Lunch Bunch. We'll see you then at America's Diner, Denny's in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Oh, good. Thanks, Zeb. What I'm wondering this morning is, when I say we have two groups in this country that we really need to worry about, yeah, I could talk about ISIS and, others, but I'm talking about the Democrats and Republicans. Why are they so surprised that Donald Trump would mention voter fraud, vote fixing, and election fixing? We all know it's happening. Why would, especially the Republicans, I tout myself as mostly Republican, and why? Why would these parties make such a fuss about something that's so obvious?
You know, I don't know why they won't admit that there is voter fraud. I don't know why, mostly on the left, that they won't admit to the fact that voter ID would help clarify and absolutely professionalize the way our voting is done in this country. And I really don't buy the argument, oh, well, those poor minorities, oh, well, those elderly people, they can't get to the courthouse or whatever to get their IDs. That's a bunch of bunk, and there's another word I want to use. You can't tell me that since the last election 4 years ago, people have not had the time or could put forth the effort to take some pride into their voting and take some pride into who they are when they go to the polls.
Well, I'll tell you, I've used words too, and may the Lord forgive me, because I've used words that I wouldn't repeat on the radio, that's for sure, about this, and I really feel like the American people ought to know now. They're the ones in general that got Donald Trump in the game. And why now are we so surprised? I do not understand that. The American people have got to stand up and take these two gangs we call political parties and just toss them because they are for the American people.
I can't argue that because they both need a big broom and a dustpan to clean out all the debris and the garbage. Caller, thank you. God bless you for your call. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, sir. Caller number 2, I'm going to ask your indulgence. Stay with us. I've got a lot of political spots to get on, so bear with me. I'll be right with you. Don't forget, re-elect Republican Jim Patrick for District 25 Senator. 5th-generation Magic Valley resident, has served on the Agricultural, Education, and Business Committees and also served on the very prestigious JFAC Committee. This man also has a deep, deep understanding of water issues. We need him back in the Senate. Jim Patrick, for Republican District 25 Senator, paid for by re-elect Patrick for Senator, Treasurer Jim Patrick. Also want to remind everybody, too, about our dear friends at Barry Equipment and Rental. Oh, my goodness sakes. Yes, sirree, Bob. Locations in Jerome on South Lincoln, Twin Falls, Addison Avenue West, and where they've got a big, big repair shop, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Oh, and they've got 0% interest on 48 months if you buy any rental Bobcat equipment used. 0% interest on 48 months. Get in there today. Check it out. All the equipment rentals, all the equipment sales. They have the equipment to get the job done right. Barry Equipment and Rental, Jerome, Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Caller, good morning. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hey, that voter fraud deal, did you see that undercover video on the one of those Democrat commissioners on the voter was talking about how the fraud was going on back in New York, and now the governor wants him to step down?
Yeah. Doug, let me just say this to you, and I mentioned it to the last caller. I am not going to take any of the left saying, oh, it's a hardship. Oh, it's just too much for these minorities, be they Hispanic, be they Negro, whatever the case might be, or whatever, they can't get an ID. Are you kidding me? We need an ID in every phase of our lifestyle. That is an asinine, stupid assertion by the liberal left.
It is, and I had a discussion with a liberal the other day about that. And he said, well, it's such a hardship. Some of them have to travel 150, 200 miles to get one. And I said, well, if they live out 150, 200 miles from where there's a county seat or a DMV office, they've got to have a driver's license to get there.
There you go. There you go.
No, they probably don't. They have their family take them, then their family have to take a day off work, and they'll have to take a day off work.
Oh, my gosh.
And I said, give me a break. And then he says, well, there's a lot of minorities that don't have driver's license. They don't drive cars. And I said, well, then how do they get to the store and that? And he said, public transit. And I said, there you go. Public transit doesn't go by a DMV.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah, the stupidity, and I'm going to call it like it is. I've heard so many people here in this area that are of the Democratic Party issue statements that are that stupid and fraudulent. How in the world can you say that? You've had 4 years, if you want to vote in this presidential election, to get down and get an ID. And don't tell me that there's not a need for an ID on other occasions, because it's absolutely a blatant lie if they say they don't.
Right. And, and the government takes care of these needy people. Like, we give them housing, we give them food stamps, but we don't give them an ID?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, this is a subject that I'll never, ever weaken on. I had somebody here on my program about a month ago that was basically, they called me after the show, and they said I was wrong about forcing a motor voter ID type thing, and I said, no, I'm not. I am not wrong on that. I think every polling place should know absolutely by looking at the ID, looking at the face, that they have a proper person. We have heard this morning that they've already, in many precincts on the pre-voting, the early voting, dead people have been voting, Dougie.
I know it. Yeah, they've caught him back. Where was it? The janitor went into this room and found several boxes of thousands and thousands of votes for Hillary. I've seen video at these voter polling locations where people are stuffing these ballots. They're going taking reams of paper and just sticking in artificial votes.
Yeah, there's two words that come to mind when I think about people that use an excuse not to have a voter ID. You're lazy and you're unpatriotic.
Well, and they're dishonest.
There you go. I got to go, Doug. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Thanks. Caller, I'll be right there, I promise. Hang with me. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. I'm going to be in the pool this afternoon again. I love that pool. Hydrotherapy pool with a treadmill. Man, I'll tell you, it makes you work. Helping me get back to being me. 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Nick Greenwell, physical therapist, and all the physical therapists. They can and will help you. Please take down the number 678-1191. 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Absolutely the best. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget, too, for anything to do with your hearing, it's Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup, and they're located across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room. Number 2 call for a hearing screening, 312-0957. I got to get over there this week, as a matter of fact. 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, the only locally owned and independent hearing healthcare practice in southern Idaho. Mount Harrison Audiology. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Deb.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to talk about this early voting, as much as 2 months ahead of the election.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous.
It's real. This gives anybody that's dishonest plenty of time to get in there and take that ballot out and put the one in they want.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. And then it also gives them plenty of time to go to another polling place and do the same thing because the ID is not necessary. So they can vote maybe 4 or 5 times before the election.
Well, I have never been an advocate of early voting unless you have to go on a trip, you're out of the country, incapacitated. There are some reasons to have it, but not to the point that it's going to absolutely shade and jade the election. And I don't like early voting. I think that we need to open the polls at 7 a.m. in the morning and let them stay open. And if you don't go to vote, that's your problem. I think making it so easy with early voting also contributes to early cheating.
Well, I think that's exactly the point I'm trying to get across. But, I mentioned this to my wife, and she said, well, do you want to go down there and stand for hours, wait to vote? I said, well, no, but it's the way we do it.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, an absentee vote, maybe a week or so before, that might be acceptable because you're getting ready to go on a trip or you're going to be out of town then or something. There's reasons for having an absentee ballot, but 2 months,
yeah.
I can't go along with that.
Let me tell you something, Cottam. If you think for 5 seconds that I am going to get in a rift between you and Nancy, you better float your boat in another direction.
Do you have an extra bed at your house?
Nope, not even going to offer it. Thanks, Keith.
You bet. Bye-bye.
All right, goodbye. Oh, my goodness. Hey, you know what? Right now, we're going to give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox. Oh, my goodness. It's absolutely phenomenal. Okay. This is for first-time winners. And Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh, what a restaurant. Oh, what a bakery. Here's the question. It's an easy one. First person to call 436-2244 with the right answer. Before she was a solo star, Dolly Parton was on this famous country music stars TV show for a long time. Before she was a solo star, whose TV show was Dolly Parton on for a long time? He's a very, very famous country music singer. Who was he? Tell me quickly, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Give me a call. Before Dolly Parton was a solo star, she was on a Famous Singers TV show. Who was that famous singer? Call me quickly, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call, quickly, I want to remind you also about Lennox. Yeah, buddy, Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will always enjoy the comfort. Call them, Ramsey Heating and Electric, 6780459, and find out how Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox can save you money. Oh, that's an easy one. Come on now. Before she was a solo star, let's see what this caller has to say. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
That would have been Porter Wagner.
What is your name, sir?
My name's Kim Williams.
Ken Williams?
Kim?
Kim Williams.
Yes, sir.
Well, my goodness, you know your country music. Yes, it was the Porter Wagoner Show with the Wagon Masters, and Dolly Parton was the featured singer every week. Thank you, sir. You have won yourself. And what was your last name again, Williams?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got you down for the cookies. Call them and tell them when you're coming in at Sophie's Chatterbox, okay? All right. Congratulations. Yep, it was the Porter Wagner Show. And they're still showing the reruns of that Porter Wagner Show. I think it was way back like in the late 50s and early 60s. The Porter Wagner Show with all those glitzy and rhinestone suits and everything. Oh, my goodness sakes. And Dolly Parton with the bouffant hair that goes 27 yards into the air, etc. And she also... Well, I can't talk about that. Anyway, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Minute Cash of Sales with Zach and the crew at 1321 East Main Street in Burley. Right across from the airport, you stop in and check out all the upgrading of your windows. Going to be a cold winter. Going to have the wind blowing, and the heat's going to try to escape. Well, don't let that heat escape. Upgrade your windows with the Western Windows, and by golly, you'll appreciate it by stopping into Minicash Sales, and they can help send over a contractor to install the job. Right there, Minicash Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, and they bring you Dr. History on Tuesdays. Our congratulations, Kim Williams, winning the contest this morning to Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Congratulations. Colin Kaepernick, in honor of Black Lives Matter, knelt again during the national anthem yesterday. And I am so angered and I am so repulsed by these multi-million-dollar athletes that are taking center stage at an athletic event to make a jackass out of themselves. I am so glad that himself personally, and the 49ers lost really big-time bad to the Buffalo Bills 49-16. Yesterday was the first time in a long time that Colin Kaepernick started at quarterback. Didn't do any good. The 49ers lost 49-16, and as I said, I have no use for these multi-million-dollar players disrespecting this country or our flag or those that serve, and I will never change my opinion. Yes, they have the right, but I also have the right to denigrate them, and I will. And I was looking at various newspapers over the last couple of days, and in Berkeley, Michigan, many of the military veterans that belong to the VFW, that go to a social club in Berkeley, Michigan, have decided to turn off all NFL games in their homes and at the Berkeley, Michigan social club, etc. They're not going to play any more football games. Now, this might sound minor, but I have talked to a lot of people that also feel the same way. And one of the gentlemen was interviewed, and he says he was 45 years of age, and he served 4 tours of duty in Iraq, as an Army battalion commander. And he said, quote, "I think they forget," they meaning these multi-million-dollar athletes, "there's still men and women serving in harm's way, and we have nothing but support for those people. That's what it's all about. Without them, they," meaning these misguided football players, "wouldn't be playing football for a living." How true. And I look at Colin Kaepernick when he does this idiocy. And why doesn't he take some of his millions? He makes about $15 million a year. Why doesn't he take some of that money and start a charity or a foundation, supposedly to help the causes that he is kneeling for, instead of showing disrespect for our flag? Wheels, did you just clear your throat?
Not that I know of. I was just listening to the Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, well, then go ahead and clear your throat off the air. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Last night, I had a little bit of a scare. My Cubs were blanked by the Dodgers, 1-0. Wow. You talk about a pitcher's duel. It was. And Kershaw for the Dodgers looked absolutely phenomenal. Man alive. I really appreciate a great pitching effort. And, wow, Kershaw and the Dodgers, they just would not give up that lead. 1-0 last night. Now it goes to L.A. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Can I speak to Zeb?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Just like to remind you that in Idaho you don't have to have a pitcher ID, but you do have to sign an affidavit, and then you're punishable by a felony.
Right.
If you sign an affidavit illegally.
Bert, what is the problem? As a former legislator, tell me what in the world could be the problem, the gripe, the complaint, whatever word you want to use, against proving who you are when you go to a voting polling place?
I have never had anyone, and I've talked to a lot of people, I've never had anyone object to Idaho having to have voter ID. Not one person has said that was an inconvenience or illegal. I'm sure that people have said that, but it's a phony argument.
Oh, Bert, now, I was trying not to be facetious before. I'm dead serious when I say this. Since the last election, they have had 4 years to get an ID that is valid. And we hear about people on the left saying, oh, well, it's such a hardship. Oh, well, it's too hard for our elderly. Oh, well, it makes our minorities and those people feel that they're less than the rest of us by having an ID. How can they use such a frivolously stupid argument?
Well, and I agree with you on that that's just a phony argument. And it'll never carry water in my book. You got to come up with a different excuse than, oh, it's inconvenient.
Let me ask you.
All kinds of things that are inconvenient.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Let me ask you this question about the politics that's going on today. And you called in last week, and I very much appreciated and respected your call. But, I really don't think that we're trying to elect a choir boy or a choir girl as president. But we are electing a philosophy on the left of more than 4 more years of Obama's practices, even worse. When you look at the trade agreements, you look at the lack of doing anything against ISIS, you look at our economy, etc. And on the other hand, we have unknown Donald Trump. However, if I were the Republican Party, and I want you to tell me if I'm wrong, if I were the Republican Party, I would have got behind him hook, line, and sinker to make sure they kept the House, the Senate, and really aimed at trying to get some policies in that were going to help the American party, or the American people. Now they have fractured the party and all bets are off. What are your thoughts?
Well, Zeb, I agree with you on that. And as we talked about a week ago, there's very few of us, very few of us that would like to go back 30 years and have everything that we've done or said made public.
Right.
I made some comments about people I wouldn't be really proud of. But don't we have an opportunity to change?
Yeah.
And then you go back 30 years to dig up skeletons?
I would hate to...
It isn't. And I'm disappointed when we jump ship. Deb, the one thing that I don't hear a lot of people say very much about is our Supreme Court.
Yeah.
If Hillary gets in, Katie bars the door.
Let me ask you about that.
The Supreme Court will be making all of the laws. He just won't send the legislature home.
Let me ask you about that real quick, Bert, and then I've got to get a weather forecast in here. I don't think that a lot of people realize how dangerous the Supreme Court can be against our Constitution and the reading of our Constitution and of our amendments, i.e. the First and Second Amendment. And you put a liberal court in there, and your words were very well appreciated. Katie barred the door. Why don't people realize how dangerous a leftist court can be?
Well, why don't people talk more about that? I don't hear very much about it. They talk about all of these other things that Hillary's her emails and Trump's things that he's talked about, but nobody ever talks much about the seriousness of who we elect and the Supreme Court.
Absolutely. Bert, God bless you and your lovely wife, Elaine, and thank you for your input.
Have a good day.
All right, sir. Very, very dear friend right there. The Supreme Court in this nation could take a real far turn to the left. When we lost Justice Scalia, we lost, I would say, a man of common sense for the court. And now a replacement for Scalia and then a couple of others that are going to possibly retire within the next 12 to 18 months. That court could take on a severe left turn and absolutely see a rewrite, if you will, of our amendments and the value of what they mean. Caller, quickly, I've got to do a commercial break. Go, you're on the air.
Hey, Zeb. I was just wanted to comment on the Supreme Court and the loss of Judge Scalia and the very suspicious way that he died and the emails that have come forth that implicate the Clinton Foundation along with many others. Do you have any comments about that?
Only speculation, and I don't deal in speculation, as you know. But when Justice Scalia passed away, the events leading up to his death and how it happened and everything, yes, I have some question marks hanging above my head. But I am more concerned about the now, because right now the filling of that chair is very important. And then also 12 months into the future, possibly 2 more chairs that might be filled with extremely liberal judges, and I'll maintain my position on this. And I'll use a slang terminology, we ain't seen nothing yet as far as liberalism being promoted by the Supreme Court.
Yeah, it's definitely scary, because once that Supreme Court's gone, they're going to do whatever they want to do here.
Absolutely. Caller, I got to do a weather forecast. God bless you for your call. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Zeb. Bye.
Calls are welcome in just a moment, but right now I've got to get a weather forecast on here. Yes, I do, and the weather's brought to you by our dear friend Kyle James and his wonderful, wonderful people at 3 locations of Urgent Care of Idaho.com. Riverview Urgent Care, 382 North Overland and Burley. Twin Falls Urgent Care, 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin Falls. And Jerome Urgent Care, 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. Oh, my goodness, they're giving out the flu shots right now. They're only $15, so stop in and see about staying healthy this winter with a flu shot. They can help you at the Urgent Cares. And don't forget to go to their website and learn more. They can help you and your family. UrgentCareOfIdaho.com. Minor emergencies, major care. Here now is the weather forecast.
Looks like we're in for some rain showers for the next couple of days, and it is going to be windy. Looks like we are in a wind advisory through about 6 o'clock tonight, so be careful if you're out there. Winds out of the west steady, about 20 miles an hour, gust possible 35 plus. Rain showers off and on for today, high of 52 tonight, low of 38. Tomorrow, more rain showers in the forecast. Going to be windy as well, high of 47 with an overnight low of 31. And as we get towards midweek, hopefully we're going to see some sunshine. Looking at a high of 53 for Wednesday with an overnight low of 31. Thursday, mostly sunny, 61 and maybe 65 for Friday. Yesterday's high was 60. The overnight low was 41. That's your weather for Zep at the Range.
Thank you, Gina. Brought to everybody by the Urgent Cares. Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care, Twin Falls, Jerome Urgent Care in Jerome. Minor emergencies. Yep, they can help you. And don't forget to stop in and see them today. Minor emergencies, major care. What would you do? Quickly, let me also tell you this, that on Thursdays we're going to give away a Grand Slam breakfast to Denny's if you can answer our football trivia contest at 9:12 on Thursdays. Don't forget that. Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, 611 Overland in Burley. What would you do, or how would you prepare yourself if you were Donald Trump for this third and final debate? I tell you what I would do, seriously, and I've thought a lot about it over the weekend. And a lot of you may be offended by what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it because I believe it. I think Donald Trump has to go out on the stage, reach over and shake her hand, go to his podium or location, and from that juncture for the entire debate, absolutely not worry about the moderator, Chris Wallace. Not worry about anything that is going to be thrown at him about these supposed statements that he made on sexual possible perversion with some people, etc. No. Take the question, deflect it, and go to some of the absolute important items that would put Hillary Clinton on the defensive immediately. And not back off. What he's got to do in this next debate Wednesday night, he's got to listen, he's got to deflect, and he's got to go on attack. It's kind of like sword fighting. You parry with the partner, and you take the cross of the blade, you deflect it, and you go ahead with your own attack. That's what he has to do. He has got to be on an extreme attack and not worry about anything. He can't really elaborate on the women. He can't really worry about on the allegations. He can't just pass it over. Go on with it. If he has to make a statement, all of us have made mistakes in our lives, and 30 years ago I made some mistakes. I said some things that I'm ashamed of, and I'm sorry for that. Then go on and go under the attack. Attack her over her stand on Benghazi. What difference does it make? Attack her on those statements. Attack her on what happened in Libya. Attack her on what she did or didn't do with these emails. Attack, attack, attack. Oh, sure, there are some out in the audience that are going to cry foul. And they're going to say, "Oh, he played like he played sexist. He tried to hurt her because she's a woman." Oh, baloney! He needs to go on the attack and keep showing every time he can how inadequate and illegal this woman is, and lay off the statements about lock her up. You know, it's all probably going to come to a head anyway, to the point where if all of this really breaks to the point of the illegalities, if our court system and our legal system has anything left of it for honesty, she's probably going to put her own neck in the noose. But just go after her. Attack, attack, attack on the points that are well known by everyone, and put her on the defensive. She is a easily frustrated woman. She is an easily irritated woman. And she is a woman that once she loses it and shows her emotion in disgust, bingo, you've won. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Maybe you don't agree, but I honestly believe he's got to absolutely be on the attack. No weakening. Did you hear that Amazon, this is how ridiculous our country is becoming. Amazon refuses to ship a Christmas present that you can buy online, and it's called the Hot Pink Cowgirl outfit. The Hot Pink Cowgirl outfit. And it's for children. It's for little kids. It comes with a child-sized cowgirl hat, a pink holster festooned with a silhouetted horse and rider, a 6-point badge with a shirt clip, and a space for a name. And there's also a little pink and silver cap gun among the accessories. The real Western cowgirl kit. Amazon's refusing to ship it because they don't want to have anything that would perpetrate firearms. I mean, come on. Didn't you play Cowboys and Indians? Of course, now you're not even supposed to say that. It's not politically correct, but I'm not politically correct, so I couldn't care less. Didn't you play Cowboys and Indians when you were growing up? I did! I had the Roy Rogers double holster set. And by the way, it's hanging. I managed to salvage that before it got thrown away. The leather is really rotten and everything, but I still got the original Roy Rogers double holster right up on my wall. I got it in 1952. Oh my goodness, is that old? Well, so am I. But, you know, there was nothing wrong with playing Cowboys and Indians. And if we didn't have a gun, we'd use our finger and go, pow, 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 gotcha. Oh, my goodness, our society today. Oh, ho, ho, ho. We can't do that. We've got a monitor. Yeah, there it is, Deanne. Thank you. I'll hold it up for the camera. At home, if you're looking, I got to get it in camera range. There it is, the old, hang that up on that wall by that vest for me, would you, hon? The old double holster set. The buckle is still intact and everything. I should really fix these up a little bit and polish them up. They could be restitched and everything, but Roy Rogers had his name on the back, and there was a place to put the little plastic bullets and everything in the back that holds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the double R, Roy Rogers gun and holster set. And we really appreciate it. Those are the old days, 1952. Thank you. Now, today, oh no, you can't sell any of that. You can't let the kids play any of that. I remember a story back in Michigan about, what was it, last spring, I believe. And the kids were out in the yard. It was in a town in Michigan, down by Detroit someplace. And the kids were out in the yard, and they were running around playing Cowboys and Indians, and some neighbor took offense at that. And the neighbor called the police, and the police came over, and they arrested the 3 kids that were playing Cowboys and Indians because they were publicly being disorderly and causing a public nuisance. They were on their own property, and they were pretending to play Cowboys and Indians, so we had to shut them down. That's how crazy our society is getting. And now Amazon said, oh boy, no, we can't sell that. We'll not deliver a toy cowgirl playset. Can't do that. It comes with a child-sized cowgirl hat, pink, a holster festooned with a silhouetted horse and rider, pink, and a 6-point badge with a shirt clip, space for the name, in pink. Nope, can't do that. Where has our society gone? Hey, don't forget our dear friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations with a great big fall tire sale going on right now. Many of these tires are on sale, like the Ultra Z900 for your passenger car, on sale. All-season tread, 65 to 80,000 mile warranty, depending upon your driving conditions. Ooh. that is a good tire. And for your pickups and SUVs, the Open Country MT on sale. I'm telling you, check out all the great tire buys. All, of course, the best in brake service, the best in front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. And there again, I want to reiterate, it's getting a lot cooler in the morning, and you go out, turn the key on, and your engine goes, whoa, whoa, not going anywhere. Well, make sure you check your battery. Have it tested, and if you need a new one, they've got the best right there at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, absolutely the best. Hey, I want to also remind you, too, as we go through our list of great politicals, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, vote yes on HJR 5 November 5th. Yep, encourages better communication and cooperation within our branches of state government. Vote yes on HJR 5. And it helps prevent state agencies from implementing overreaching and burdensome rules that negatively impact your life and leisure. Vote yes on HJR 5. Vote yes on HJR 5 November 8th, paid for by Speaker Scott Bedke, Representative Fred Wood, and Senator Kelly Anthon. Right now, it's time for this good word for Senator Mike Crapo, and then Wheels will take us up to the news at 9 o'clock. Oh, my, here we go. Hey, the sun is starting to break through a little bit. Look at that. You know, a day that's supposed to have a lot of cloud cover, the sun, blue sky. I'm loving this. Man, it got a little wet here the last couple of days. Good morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, including Western Way Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Way Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Way Services, always at your disposal. That's just not hype. That's the way it is. I urge you to call them, get on the route service, have your garbage picked up. It's gone. It's out of there. Very, very, very efficient people working for them and always at your disposal. 734-6969, locally owned and operated. Western Waste Services, absolutely the best. By the way, too, don't forget that Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems, whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump. You and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call them at 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox can save you money. Also, want to remind you that Lee Hyder is running for re-election for State Senator District 24. The best always stand the test, and Lee Hyder is one of the best. Vote November 8th for a man that's devoted to Idaho and you. Vote for Lee Hyder, Senator District 24. He has been very, very busy helping to pass many, many bills at the Idaho State Capitol, and he wants to continue working for you. Don't forget Lee Hyder, re-election for State Senator District 24, paid for by Lee Hyder for Senate District 24. We're going to have our guest on the air momentarily, as I warned everybody that we've got a lot of commercials with a lot of politicals on the air, so bear with me. I also want to remind you about our dear friends at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward, his family, and his staff. And they can and will travel to rural towns and churches to help you with all the arrangements. You don't have to go to them, they can come to you. Don't forget, always treating you with the absolute highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. That's again Hanson Mortuary. When there's the passing of a loved one, you call, please, 436-5636, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Thank you. Gotta hurry. We're running late, and right now we got to get over to the Senior Junction. Catherine's with us this morning, the manager and director, and the great big, frightfully wonderful pumpkin function coming up next week on the 27th. Catherine, good morning.
That's right. Good morning. We're so excited. It's going to be a frightfully fun time at the Senior Junction Pumpkin Function on October 27th. We are going to start with a breakfast at 7 a.m. with lots of fun food. We're going to have terrific scrambled eggs and creepy meat and biscuits out of the gravy. All sorts of fun stuff. We can't wait. We want people to come out.
You know, I love this lady. She is really an innovative thinker, and I love that because it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have, well, I'm going to let her tell you. I'm always talking about it. You can tell us about the costume contest and everything else.
We are going to have a great time on Thursday the 27th. We are going to spend all day. Everyone can come in their costumes. We want them to come participate in the costume contest. We will be taking photographs of those people who enter in for the costume, and we will announce the winner on Monday, on Halloween, on your show. And we've got just a ton of fun prizes to give away. We've got a jackpot overnight stay with dinner. We've got a kid's bike. We've got all kinds of things that we want people to participate in, including our Halloween candy that we have for sale for 50 cents a bag. And those are really unique items that are already ready for you. You just come in, tell me how many you need. If you need 20, it's a $10 cost, and your trick-or-treaters are going to remember you for these treats.
Absolutely, and by the way, you know, Cactus Pete's down there with that kind of a getaway, thank you very much. And also, to celebrate and commemorate our pumpkin function, the T-shirts. Tell everybody about the T-shirts.
That's right. We have some great T-shirts. They come in black or gray, and they're our 2016 Senior Junction Pumpkin Function T-shirts. They're $15, and 100% of the proceeds from those goes to the Meals on Wheels program.
Now, while we stopped right there at the end of the sentence with Meals on Wheels program, I want you to define just how important this is for the money that we raise for this pumpkin function to help our seniors.
You know, it is such a great cause, and it's one that slips through the cracks. Unfortunately, our funding is being cut by the government, and so we're counting on community support to keep this program going. You know, nutrition is the leading cause of falls among the elderly, and they are having such a hard time on their limited income and resources to be able to, cook a nutritious meal for themselves. And so we provide one meal a day that is a nutritionally balanced meal for them. We serve it hot Monday through Friday, and then we take a frozen on Friday for Saturdays and Sundays. Mm-hmm. So they have meals 7 days a week. And, you know, it costs about $6.50 a piece to package and prepare and deliver these meals. And so we are trying to raise funds all year long to benefit the Meals on Wheels program so that we can keep these seniors fed and healthy and out of the hospitals, in their homes longer. And, you know, it's just such a worthy cause and such a vital program for our community.
You know, Catherine, one other point that I'd like you to elaborate on quickly, we've got about 2 minutes left, is the fact that deliverer of the meals might be the only human contact that those people have on a daily basis. God bless the volunteers, because those seniors, they're just not seeing anybody. They're not able to get out.
Yeah, they're often shut-ins, in-home, not able to get out to visit with people. They can't get out to do their grocery shopping. So sometimes our delivery drivers are the only people that they get to see. And, you know, it is such an important service that we get to lay our eyes on them to make sure that they're safe, they're alert, that they're not in need of anything. And, you know, a smile and a hug goes a long way for them.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to be giving away some breakfast tickets later on this week and also going into the beginning of next week. And I'm also going to give away one of those very unique Pumpkin Function T-shirts. So we've got a lot of things to talk about the Senior Junction Pumpkin Function coming up on October 27th. And tell us real quick about the Scary, Frightful Witch's Den.
Oh, that's right. The Albion Haunted Mansion is going to come out and help decorate for that. So it should be a lot of fun. We're going to have a little area where people can walk through, enjoy the sights and sounds of Halloween, and we're so grateful for Albion Haunted Mansions coming out to help us with that.
Catherine, you have done a beautiful job. You and Dennis and everybody else over there at the Senior Junction for this great big pumpkin function. It's getting close. We're going to really amplify it as much as we can. Thank you so much.
That's great. And just one more thing I wanted to highlight. The Troubadours are going to be here to provide entertainment. Ned Carter and the Troubadours, so it should be a lot of fun.
Oh, boy, yes. I'm glad you hit that. Catherine, thank you. Have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. The Senior Junction Pumpkin Function on the 27th, October 27th. Please come by and support that event. We need all the help for our seniors that we can muster. Okay? All right, let's take a look here right now. I want to remind you, too, about, oh my goodness, over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. They've got mattresses galore, no money down, no interest, up to 12 months on approved credit. They are continuing their Columbus Day sale all the way through now, and oh boy, have they got recliners. And oh man, what a selection to stop in and check them out. You got to try them on. See how they're going to fit you. They've got a great selection of everything over there at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see those really, really good folks today. All right? Hey, by the way, there's going to be a big sale coming up here in the not-too-distant future, and I'll tell you what, it's managed by a great auction company, Rogge Auctions, LLC, and they are going to run the great big CD Ranches sale at 259 South Meridian Road in Rupert. Oh, my, October 22nd, and it's going to be at 11 a.m. They'll bring the gavel down and start the auction. They're going to have farm and livestock equipment, horse, tack, guns, vehicles, collectibles. They're going to have a really good excess horse trailer, sheep camps, and so much more. Don't you miss the CD Ranches sale coming up on October 22nd at 11 a.m. put on by Rogge Auctions. For more information, you call them at 431-6187 or call Kate at 431-0074. Let's go to the phone line right now, and let's see if old Wheels is ready to go over there. Do you have Dr. Bill Fulcher on the phone with us?
I didn't. I didn't get an email for Dr. Bill Fulcher.
If I didn't tell you, then I am now. Call Dr. Bill Fulcher, and I'm going to give you the number over the air. You ready?
Yes, sir.
678-1120.
Okay, 1120, I'll get on that.
All right, buddy. Thank you, Wheels. We appreciate it. We're going to talk to Dr. Bill about a great big trunk or treat. That does give me just a moment or two to go ahead and tell you about what's going on, excuse me, with the cough, still hay fever season, with what's going on over at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. And you know what Nick said? Yep, he said, the snow is coming. Nick, shame on you, but you know it's true. And you got to be ready with your brand new snowmobiles from Let's Ride. Oh, there's a bright spot and everything. Snow machine and fun. And the new snowmobiles are coming to the store every day. And don't forget, too, that they're having a great big closeout on the 2016 four-wheelers and side-by-sides at prices that you just can't afford to pass up. You get on over there, all the accessories, great service department where the fun is sold. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. While you're over in that neck of the woods, I strongly urge you to call my friends Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Whether it's life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all the things that you need to protect you, your family, your home, your business, etc. They have it. They can help. please get a hold of them. They're very dedicated and responsive to your needs. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Call for an appointment today at 436-4424. Let's check and see if we've got Dr. Bill on the phone. Wheels, what do you say?
Yes, sir, we do.
Well, thank you. Good job, Wheels. I appreciate it. Right now, we're going to talk to a gentleman over at Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union. As a matter of fact, we've been very fortunate to have these folks on the air with us for a long time because they have warm hearts for cold noses. Dr. Bill Fulcher, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great, partner. How about yourself?
If I was any better, the wrong fat man be wearing my clothes. It's really good to have you on the air, Bill.
Well, good.
What are you going to be doing special for Halloween?
Well, we're doing our third annual Rupert Square Trunk or Treat, Zeb. We've got the whole square blocked off this year, and we're going to be all the way around it with cars and trucks. And everybody giving away lots and lots of candy for the kids.
Well, now I understand this event is going to be on Halloween evening. Is that correct, Bill?
Yes, it's going to be on 6:30 on Halloween, which happens to be a Monday this year.
Right.
But I don't think it's going to dampen the enthusiasm of any of the participants or the kids. Last year we had like 3,000 kids come through, and this year we're gearing up to be at about 4,000.
Wow. Well, now listen, what can people do? How can they help? Are you still looking for other people to help?
Yeah, we're still working. We're still accepting donations for candy, and what we can do is if you have a trunk or treat, have a truck or a vehicle in the trunk or treat, then what you need to do is contact myself at 678-1177 or Accurate Imprints at 434-2757.
Okay. Now, I understand that there's also going to be prizes given out for the best decorated car and vendor costumes. Is that correct?
Yes. Myself and Tracy over at Accurate Imprints, we're donating the cash prizes for the best decorated car and $25 a piece for the top 3 vendor costumes. Now, that's the people that are participating. It would almost be impossible for us to try to judge all the kids when they come through.
All right, now, Bill, I'm going to put you on the spot. What are you going to dress up as so I can pick you out of the mass?
Well, there's a rumor that they've got a Kung Fu Panda outfit that I'm supposed to be wearing.
A Kung Fu Panda. Well, it goes right along with how you have warm hearts for cold noses, so I can accept that.
Well, my second job is running the martial arts studio over in Rupert, also on the square.
Oh, my goodness, I didn't know that. So if somebody doesn't come over and help contribute to the Halloween function, look out. Here comes Wild Bill with his Kung Fu, right?
That's exactly right. I'll come get you.
Tell me a little bit about Ark Animal Hospital while I got you on the air. I mean, man, we've been blessed to have you folks as a sponsor. I love your slogan, whether big or small, you love to help them all. Warm hearts for cold noses. How is the veterinary business these days?
It's doing great. In fact, in June, we just hired another associate vet because we were growing so much. We hired a new graduate out of Missouri, Dr. Liz Schrepfer, and she started with us, and she's specializing in small animals and reproduction, too. So our small animal end of things is kind of booming. The large animal, not so much, because I've kind of got beat up through the years and slowed way down.
I can understand that. I understand that you are a graduate of Colorado State. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. In 1980, we graduated from Colorado State, and then we moved right to Burley, Idaho, right afterwards.
Okay, so you must...
With Dr. Fairbrother over at Blue Cross Animal Hospital.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And then we moved over to Animal Medical Clinic, and we built that with my partner over there, Clyde Gillespie, Dr. Clyde Gillespie, and then after that, we decided to go out on our own, and from 1988 on, we've been here at Ark Animal Hospital doing the best we can to take care of all the critters that we see. We see them, everything from big to small. We see turtles, we see llamas, we see, everything.
What would you, I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit, but what do you do with turtles? I mean, I can't imagine they're certainly not going to hurt their legs in a race. What do you do with turtles?
Well, actually, what we do is try to keep them from the dogs eating them.
Oh, okay.
And last one we worked on, a dog had bit through its shell, and we took and fiberglassed the shell back on the little rascal, and he did fine.
So it's almost like being in an auto mechanic shop if you got to start applying fiberglass, right?
That's exactly right.
What's the most unique animal or unique medical treatment that you've ever had to give while you've been a veterinary?
Probably a snake that regurgitated its stomach. And this happened within 2 months of me getting out of vet school, and I had no idea what I was supposed to do to that thing.
Due to the fact that I have many restaurants on my program, I'm not going to absolutely ask you any more questions in pursuance of how you fix that. But it was a snake?
Let's not talk. Well, actually, it was kind of cool. I just stuffed it back in, put some sugar on it, and shrink it down. Stuffed it back in, and then did it like, how you play who gets the bat first in baseball. You put your hand down and squeeze it down.
Yeah. Well, now
acting like I knew what I was doing, I told him to just go ahead and not feed him for a week, and he'd be fine.
That's really interesting about a snake. I'll tell you what, I love the personality of this gentleman, Dr. Bill Fulcher, and talking about the trunk or treat. Bill, quickly tell us again all the highlights that's going to be over at Rupert on the square.
Well, what we've got is a lot of people that donate candy, and I want just a few of them. I wanted to mention just a few of them: Ridley's, the Dollar Store, Smith's, Walmart, Stokes, Swenson's, and Paul's. Both King stores in Burley and over here in Rupert, and it's just been a good event. One of the better things I found out last week from the police department is that since we've been doing this Rupert Square trunk or treat, the crime rate or vandalism on Halloween that usually took them all night to get it figured out stops at 10 o'clock.
Wow. Well, I'm really glad to have you on the program this morning, and that's Dr. Bill Fulcher with the Ark Animal Hospital in Heyburn, where they have warm hearts for cold noses. Dr. Bill, thank you for being on the air, and come back soon, would you please?
You betcha, partner, anytime.
All right, thank you much, appreciate it. What a nice man, and a great veterinarian, too, and that's Dr. Bill Fulcher, and over at Ark Animal, talking about on Halloween, they're going to have the trunk or treat, so we say thank you very, very much. Also, want to remind you, let's see, I've got, Deanne, could you come in here for a second? I'm missing a little bit of information, if you could help me, and then I'll continue on with the program. And she's going to be making her way back into my office. I do not have anything for that individual, so if you could help me, I would certainly appreciate it. Thank you very much. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget, Clark Kaufman, State Representative for District 25B. A Filer area farmer and businessman is asking for your vote November 8th. This is a good guy, really good guy, and he thanks you for the privilege of serving as your representative the past 2 years and encourages you to exercise your right and duty to vote on November 8th. Don't forget, Clark Kaufman for State Representative District B, 25B, paid for by Re-elect Clark Kaufman for State Representative. There you go. In just a moment, we're going to have our Alliance Defending Freedom folks come on the program, and we've got a lot of things to talk about with them today, so stay tuned for that. I want to reiterate that we do have a lot of commercials, and I had somebody call me during the break at 9 o'clock and say, how come you got so many commercials? Well, we're in political season. And quite frankly, we're going to have a lot more. And we are very honored to serve the campaigns of many, many people that are trying to run for election and political office. So we're going to do our best to kind of go through it for the next 3 weeks. So bear with us. We do appreciate all of your calls and all of your thoughts. Speaking of which, right now, I also want to remind you again about the Senior Junction Pumpkin Function. And I can't stress enough, it's going to be October 27th, next Thursday, not this Thursday, next Thursday. And it's going to be right there at the Senior Junction, which is at 2421 Overland in Burley, starting with a huge, I mean really big and delicious breakfast, frightfully delicious. And that's going to be at 7 o'clock in the morning and go till 10. I'm going to be over there broadcasting live and direct all 3 hours of my program, and we'll start broadcasting at 8 and go till 11. We're going to be giving away all kinds of great prizes, and there's going to be costume contests and pumpkin carving contest, everything right there at the Senior Junction on October 27th. Don't you forget it. Senior Junction Pumpkin Function. Right now, we are going to go to the phone line, and my old buddy Wheels over at the main studios has our guest ready to go, and she is, I'm going to try saying her name, and if I say it wrong, I want her to correct me. We have attorney with the Alliance Defending Freedom, Christiana Holcomb. Good morning, Christiana. How are you?
Fine. Good morning.
Did I say it right or wrong?
Well done. You did it great.
Okay.
Christiana.
Now, I see your smiling face on the cheat sheet that they sent me, but what we're going to talk about this morning has put a furrow in my brow and a frown on my face when I think about Massachusetts churches have had to file suit to challenge a law that is forcing them to act contrary to their faith, or for that matter, my faith and many people's faith across this great country. I would like you to explain and elaborate on the story, if you would, please, Christiana.
No, absolutely. So the Massachusetts Attorney General and State Human Rights Commission are both threatening churches with not only fines, but even imprisonment just for operating their houses of worship consistently with their faith, and specifically their beliefs about biological sex, that God created us male and female. Holding to that belief and using their houses of worship consistently with that belief is enough to now trigger an enforcement action against churches in Massachusetts.
I just can't believe that they're going into the churches with this Attorney General in Massachusetts, Maura Healey, and they're telling them that they have to change the way that they preach and teach, and they're even going into the pulpits and telling the pastors what they can say. Is that correct?
That is correct, and you're exactly right. I mean, it's absolutely outrageous. Churches have always been free not only to teach their beliefs, but also to use their houses of worship consistently with their faith. That's a fundamental First Amendment principle and a right that every church across America has. But this unelected commission and the Attorney General, the highest law enforcement officer in the state, are now threatening to take away those freedoms from churches. And as you mentioned, even the right simply to teach that God created them male and female could be considered a violation of the law.
Let me read the wording here, and that the Massachusetts Commission Against Discrimination and Attorney General Maura Healey have put forth, and they said they're going to try to force churches to open church changing rooms, shower facilities, restrooms, and other intimate areas based on their perceived gender identity and not their biological sex, in violation of the church's religious beliefs. So in other words, the bathroom bill, in very simple terminology, as heinous and as ridiculous and outlandish as it sounds, is now even going to be forced upon churches. I mean, that's nothing more than promoting a sin and perverted lifestyles.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And, you know, for the last several years, the other side has assured us, oh, you can do whatever you want within the four walls of your church. We just want the freedom to be who we are in the public space. Well, that lie has now been exposed for what it is. They are not content to leave the churches alone, and now they're even demanding that churches, as we mentioned earlier, censor their teaching about biological sex, and yes, open up restrooms and locker rooms and changing facilities to members of the opposite biological sex, compromising not only the privacy, safety, and dignity of individuals using these sensitive areas, but also violating the church's fundamental freedoms simply to operate consistently with their faith.
Christiana, I can't imagine what this is going to do if this court case goes in favor of the left liberals and the insane. I can't imagine what it's going to do to church schools. I mean, I know of many, many church schools, elementary, high school, etc., where something like this could absolutely be devastating. Or is it much ado about nothing?
Oh, I do not think it's much ado about nothing. And these churches across Massachusetts are certainly not treating it as such. Look, not only are they being threatened with violating their First Amendment freedoms, but they're being threatened with going to jail simply for being who they are and operating consistently with their faith. But this case, as you mentioned, has ramifications not just for the state of Massachusetts, but I really think it will be a bellwether for the rest of the nation as well. If the state of Massachusetts allows its unelected government officials and government bureaucrats to get away with controlling churches in this way, I'm not sure where it's going to end. And if churches don't have religious freedom in America, I'm not sure who does.
I'm really, really concerned about what happens up at the pulpit. I'm really concerned about our being taken away our freedom of speech. And freedom of speech plays a big part in talking about whether it's Romans 1:27 in the Bible or any other chapter of the Bible and verse. But when the government steps in and starts directing and dictating what pastors and church leaders can say or not say within the confines of a church to their congregation, we are in a lot of trouble.
That's exactly right. And every despotic government throughout history, I think, has started with revoking the freedoms of speech and the free exercise of religion. They see those as the greatest threat to government-imposed orthodoxy. So, and again, regardless of whether you agree or disagree with the church's stance on human sexuality, I think this is something that people on both sides of the aisle and across the ideological spectrum should be able to come to consensus on and should be able to agree that the government has no business controlling churches. That is far overstepping its jurisdictional bounds.
What do you see so far, Christiana? I mean, what are you hearing? What are you learning? You're closer to the subject than anybody. I mean, win, lose, draw. What's going to happen here? I mean, somewhere there has to be a line drawn in the sand for morality and public decency. What's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, obviously extremely difficult to predict at this point, especially as it relates to this case. The lawsuit has only been on the books for about a week now. But just in general, I think the American public across the board is deeply, deeply troubled by these developments. Massachusetts is the second state in the nation to have attempted something similar. Iowa was the very first. And, we saw in Iowa and we're seeing in Massachusetts, again, even those who are not in agreement with the churches and their Bible-based beliefs about human sexuality are deeply concerned about this trend, and they don't like the idea of the government vaulting over Jefferson's wall of separation between church and state and trying to burst through the church doors and control how houses of worship operate. That's something that even our ideological opponents do not agree with and cannot condone. So, I think the case has great potential, and I think if the court is looking at this through the lens of our First Amendment freedoms, it should be an easy win for the churches.
Let me ask you this. I would urge, and as a matter of fact, when I get off the air this morning, I'm going to be calling my particular pastor. I would urge all the pastors to not scofflaw this and just kind of treat it like, oh, well, it'll never happen in my church. It can, and it very possibly might. What would you tell pastors that are minimizing this and treating it like it's going to go away?
It's already happened in Massachusetts and in the state of Iowa. It's not going away anytime soon. Now, first and foremost, they need to be actively engaged in their local communities. A lot of these terrible laws that infringe our civil liberties start start at the local city level with city council members that no one really knows what they're doing or is keeping tabs on the type of laws and legislation that they're passing. The same goes for our state level. Just staying actively involved and engaged in the types of laws that are being considered and passed. I think that's a really basic and invaluable way that pastors can continue to advocate for religious freedom and stand not only for their own civil liberties, but for those of others as well.
Would it be way to the extreme for me to say this, that this is just another attack, another nail in the coffin of the liberal, insane left trying to absolutely disrupt and tear apart organized religion?
You know, what I think we can say is that the opposition is trying to use government to control what churches think and how they operate and what is considered to be orthodox in American society. But those are not the principles on which our country was founded. We're a pluralistic society. We embrace diverse worldviews and diverse perspectives, and I think that's what's made America great. And if we want to continue to be that type of diverse society where we can have a robust discourse about ideas and about faith and so on and so forth in the public square, then I think this is something that should be deeply concerning to every American. The government has no business trying to control churches.
Yeah, and there's one other point that I'm not going to back up from anybody. The Bible is my lamppost, if you will. It's the light for me. I am probably one of the worst sinners in the world, but what the Bible says is what and how I try to live my life. I'm not going to have some bureaucrat wearing a three-piece suit and wingtip shoes try to tell me that we have to rewrite and reword the Bible. I'm not going to change.
No, that's exactly right, and you shouldn't have to. I mean, that's the whole point of the First Amendment. Every church and every individual in America, frankly, should be free to both hold to their deeply held religious convictions and to live consistently with their faith. And again, if churches in America don't have this freedom in today's day and age, then I'm not sure who in America does.
Where is the money coming from? I like to find out the path of where all the dollar bills are coming from on the liberal left to promote such a filthy idea within our churches.
You know, I really don't know the answer to that question, but what I think it should do is really underscore that we need to be resilient, and we need to be the ones out there communicating. We've got a better story. We've got a better message. We've got a message of freedom and liberty and, truth to be communicated to the public. And so I think this goes back to your point earlier that pastors must be engaged. We cannot afford to sit this one out because the other side will be bringing it not just to you, but to your church and into your church doors as well.
How would they, I'm almost out of time. I know you have to run to another meeting, but I want to pursue one more aspect on this. How would they being the left, how would they police this? Would they literally come barging into a church service and shut them down? What would they do?
That's a great question, and we don't know the answer. The law at issue in Massachusetts has only been on the books for a couple of weeks, and we filed our lawsuit almost immediately thereafter. So the other side has not had the chance yet to really come after pastors with this, but I think we have to take them at their word. The law imposes crippling fines and even a jail time for individuals and pastors who violate the law. So I think we have to assume that the highest law enforcement officer in the state of Massachusetts and its Human Rights Commission are going to be good to their word and enforce this against pastors and churches.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to ask you this. This is a story that really bears everybody listening to and following. Where do people find the information? How can they follow this story? How can they follow what's going on with the Alliance Defending Freedom standing up for us? Tell us.
Absolutely. Well, your listeners are welcome to visit adflegal.org to learn more about not only our Massachusetts case, but other cases that we're handling as well.
Well, I want to say thank you very much to you, Christiana Holcomb. And is there anything else you want to share with us on this case? Because, boy, I certainly am appreciative of all the things ADF has done in the past. And this is one case I really want to keep up on, and call me back if there's anything new.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just again reiterate, religious liberty is that cornerstone of the First Amendment. If we don't stand up for it, all other of our civil liberties will collapse.
Absolutely.
So it's vital.
Absolutely. Christiana Holcomb with the Alliance Defending Freedom. First time on the program. A very, very nice young lady. Thank you so much for sharing with us this morning, and we'll look forward to having you back.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. You know, what's the matter with us? Have we lost our minds? Now the transgenders want to try to move into our churches? Now the transgenders want to make sure that whether it's a church school or the church, they can use any bathroom they want. They can go anywhere, any locker room, like in church schools, etc. Or if a pastor gets up in front of his congregation and preaches against the sins that are going on in mankind today, the liberal left will go in and shut him down. What is the matter with us? We have lost our minds. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
For those that, for some reason, can't bring themselves to voting for Donald Trump because of what he said, and think that voting a third party is not going to voting their conscience, so to speak. We know that voting a third party is a vote for Hillary, whether anybody wants to admit that or not. Hillary's on record saying that Christians need to change their fundamental way of thinking. We know that if she gets in, what's going to happen. And I just am at my wit's end when I hear people saying, "Oh, I've got to vote my conscience. I'm voting a third party." It's going to kill us if people do that.
What did you personally, and I've only got a short time here, I've got to get a weather forecast on, but I want to get your thoughts on this. When you hear about what's going on in Massachusetts, where there have been people like the Attorney General, Maura Healey in Massachusetts, trying to force churches to open church changing rooms, shower facilities, restrooms, and other intimate areas, and also stop pastors from religious expression regarding sexuality. What are your thoughts? This isn't the America I was born and raised in.
Well, it's absolutely insane, and that's why it's so dangerous with Hillary Clinton, because we know what she'll do. She'll appoint liberal Supreme Court justices, and they'll just wipe out all of our religious freedom. It'll happen. You know it as well as I do.
Well, I do, but I wanted to hear your viewpoint on this, and I'll tell you something else. This morning I was listening to Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark, and he was right. I'm going to catch heck over this, but that's okay. I got big shoulders. He is advocating a revolt of those with common sense in this country, those with morality, those with family values to stand up and say enough is enough, march on Washington, D.C., and let these idiots know they're way out of bounds.
I agree, and I watched him as well, and what a great interview that was. And yeah, we need to wake up. I mean, we're kind of in the last hour here, and if we don't wake up, it's just going to get recognizable in this country.
Well, one thing I want to pursue with you just a little bit, and I know I'm late, but I'll have to hurry to catch up. You and I talking about this, and then the cowards. The cowards on the left, they'll send emails condemning and damning me, or they'll call after the program, unknown name, unknown number, and they'll say, you can't do that, how dare you? Well, listen, there's a right and wrong in every situation in the world, and there has been since time began. There's a moral and an immoral, and right now, this whole country is making wrong right, and right wrong, and immorality is running rampant. We got to clean this thing up and throw it overboard.
Well, absolutely, and any Christian person that understands the Bible, whatever their religious affiliation is, understand that these times, I think, have been predicted.
Yeah.
And man, I just can't reiterate. We need to wake up. We got to keep Hillary Clinton out of the White House. and we got to stand for what we believe in.
You really brought up, I think, the best in verbiage about Hillary Clinton, the left, and the Democrats, where they want to transitionalize and change fundamental principles of decency in this country, especially within our churches and within what the Bible says. And any time a human being thinks that they can rewrite the Bible or reword the Bible to suit themselves, let me just say in plain, simple English, we have gone to hell.
Well, you know, people can complain about the way Donald Trump talked, but Hillary Clinton is just an absolute, and everybody that supports her whole machine, they're just crooks right down to the bone. They're evil people.
Absolutely. Sir, I want you to call more often. Absolutely enjoyed your conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. He's right. He's absolutely right. And you know what? I'm not going to wait. I hear some of these loons out there, and they'll send me emails, and they'll say, this, that, and the other, and they'll make threats. You know what? I believe in what's right. I'm not going to bend. I am not going to change my ways. When I retire from this program, might be sooner, might be later, who knows, then you can sit back and gloat, well, we got rid of him, all right. Well, until then, I'm going to continue preaching and teaching what I think is right. And you know what? It has been since the world began. And now it's the liberal left that is trying to change, destroy, and minimize decency in this country. Whew! Got me upset. Right now it's time for the weather, brought to you by Pope Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin and Company CPAs. They are the best. Curtis Pope, Todd Phillips, Rob Oaks, Mitch Goodwin, CPAs, along with my buddy Lyden Crane. Oh my goodness, they are good. Providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. Tax return preparation, tax planning. You know what? Save your money. And learn how to best manage your money. And we're getting to the end of the year, and you'd better, if you have questions, get a hold of them today. 2 offices to serve you. One at 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley, 878-7000. The other at 620 5th Street in Rupert, 436-5607. Pope Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin and Company CPAs serving you. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Looks like we're in for some rain showers for the next couple of days, and it is going to be windy. Looks like we are in a wind advisory through about 6 o'clock tonight, so be careful if you're out there. Winds out of the west steady, about 20 miles an hour, gusts possible 35 plus. Rain showers off and on for today, high of 52 tonight, low of 38. Tomorrow, more rain showers in the forecast. Going to be windy as well, high of 47 with an overnight low of 31. And as we get towards midweek, hopefully we're going to see some sunshine, looking at a high of 53 for Wednesday with an overnight low of 31. Thursday, mostly sunny, 61 and maybe 65 for Friday. Yesterday's high was 60. The overnight low was 41. That's your weather for Zep at the Rain.
Gina, thank you very much. Brought to you by the professionals at Pope Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin and Company CPAs. Call them, get a hold of them today with offices in Burley and Rupert. Let them help you with your taxes for next year. Pope Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin and Company CPAs. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Why is it that the left, when their toes are stepped on, they make all kind of threats of violence and everything else? You know, I'm getting doggone sick and tired of people that are trying to transitionalize and change good to bad and bad to good, making threats for those of us that aren't going to change. I'm not going to change. I'm not going to weaken on this. And being a public figure, and I'm absolutely going to stand up for what is morally correct and has been since time immemorial. And when I hear stories like this about the infiltration of our churches and our church schools, and telling pastors what they can and cannot talk about at the pulpit out of the Bible, I hope there are some courageous people out there to stand up and say enough is enough. Stand up, go grab a pitchfork, and we're going to walk down Main Street. Because if we bend, we'll never get it back again. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, Oh, I love this. Over at Four Paws, the annual, listen to this, Howl-O-Ween. Howl-O-Ween. I love that. Four Paws Annual Party and Pet Parade, Saturday, October 29th. All pet costumes on sale through Halloween, and they're going to have parade judging at 1 p.m. Free pictures will follow the parade. They're going to have free refreshments, a pet costume contest, and they're going to have prizes. Oh, my goodness, all of this. These are neat people over at Four Paws Bed and Bath, 370 West, 200 South of Rupert. Number to call for the Howl-O-Ween at Four Paws Annual Party and Pet Parade, 370 West, 200 South of Rupert, 438-4444. I love that. That is really neat. Let's see what else have we got here real quick. Oh, I wanted to remind you about our friends over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Don't you forget that they've got all your furniture. They've got all your bedroom sets. They've got all your mattresses. King for the price of a queen. Queen for the price of a full. Wow. You can really, really save money. So get on in there and you'll see what I mean. No money down, no interest on, and up to 12 months on approved credit. Woo. And, of course, all the entertainment stands and the dining room sets, living room furniture. I love their recliners. We've had 2 recliners from them, and they are comfy. Fit me to a glove. Don't forget Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Got time for one more quick call. Coming up, you're not going to believe this story. At 10:06 this morning, seriously, that in Florida, they are now having a great big conflagration with the federal government rigging up cameras throughout a federal park in Key Largo, Florida, to catch kitty cats that are in the act of pursuing mice and rats. I am not making this up. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is tracking and trapping house cats to save rats that may be on the endangered species list. When I heard this, I about fell out of my chair, and we're going to have attorney Mark Miller coming on the program with the Pacific Legal Foundation Atlantic Center in Florida, and I cannot wait to get him on the air this next hour and discuss this absolute lunacy that's going on against kitty cats, doing what comes natural, killing rats and mice. Ay. Wheels, how are you this morning, real quick, before we go to the next segment? Are you doing well?
I'm good, sir. How about you?
Well, I am just fit and sassy. What's the temperature over there?
I'm not sure. Gina doesn't keep a temperature meter in the room, so I would say in the studio, Gina likes to keep it about 65, 70 degrees.
Then I'll tell you what, outside it's about 42, 43. You are probably a little chilly over there. Right now, let's have this good word for Senator Mike Crapo, and then you will take us up to news time with some good music, and we'll be back in about 6 or 7 minutes. Thanks, Wheels. I don't know whether to laugh or cry, and I'm serious when I say that, because of the idiocy and the incompetency and the absolute meltdown of rules and regulations and right and wrong and morality in this country. This is insane, protecting vermin, disease-carrying vermin that the cats are trying to get rid of, and it's just commonplace with their lives to try to eat mice and rats. I can't believe this kind of a case is coming up.
Pacific Legal has been looking at it closely to see whether we need to actually sue for an injunction to keep these bureaucrats on the federal parkland and away from private property. In fact, we had thought we were not going to need to do that. We had thought that Mr. Dixon and the other federal officials had learned their lesson when the federal judge threw the case out of court. But just recently, the Smithsonian wrote a long profile of Mr. Dixon and these Key Largo rats, and it suggests, in my opinion, it suggests that the federal government is getting ready to start prosecuting cat owners again in the Keys. And if so, we may have to file a lawsuit to try and get the federal government to stop wasting our money and start doing what it's supposed to do.
You know, I, for one, here's what I would advocate right now listening to this story. I would go out and advocate that we start shipping cats by the crateful down to Key Largo and turning them loose and just sticking our nose right into the government's face with the Fish and Wildlife Service and say, now, do something about that. I am absolutely convinced that we need to absolutely turn over all the evil and the stupidity in our country. This is one of those stupid stories.
You know, it really reassures me that you picked up on it, because it's my opinion that if this is the kind of story, if it were to catch fire, the whole nation would be outraged. And it would demonstrate that much of what our government does, supposedly because they want to protect species, has nothing to do with it. It's more about giving bureaucrats money to waste in fool's errands like this. There's just no reason why our hard-earned taxpayer money should be going towards bureaucrats who are creating crazy contraptions for these rats. They actually build the nests for the rats. So imagine, the rats are there luxuriating in the Keys, and they've got humans to build them their nests. And then they've got humans setting up cameras to make sure they can catch these regular house cats that are doing what thousands of years of evolution have taught them to do, which is chase rats. But because the rat lives in the Keys, it gets special protection from the federal government.
What good? What possible good when you have to meet with these people and you can't help but almost laugh in their face for being so dumb? What possible good can come out of supporting a rat, a vermin-carrying rat in society that would overrun homeowners, overrun people with their small children in their yard? You're talking about the diseases that could be spread and everything. Where is the sanity in this, Mark?
Well, when you ask for sanity, when you're talking about the federal government, Zeb, you're going to be asking a lot of questions. It's been my experience that when you challenge these officials on what they do, they just clam up, and they don't explain themselves. They don't think they have to explain themselves because it's so difficult to go after them. Because no one, who can afford to take on the federal government over something so nonsensical? In fact, in this case, Captain Slate, Spencer Slate, he had to represent himself. He took on the awesome power of the U.S. Attorney's Office down there in the Keys, and he won. But how many people have the guts and have the ideological fortitude to do that? I mean, that's why an operation like PLF exists, because we represent homeowners and property owners at no charge, specifically because the federal government knows it can take advantage of people. Here, Captain Slate took them on himself, but we are looking to see whether we can take them on. But don't ever expect them to give you an answer, Zeb. We see that whether it be the Secretary of State refusing to turn over emails or a bureaucrat with Fish and Wildlife refusing to explain himself for why he wants to defend rats.
Mark, let me ask you some very naive questions regarding this case. And what about if the rats are on my property or yours and the cat eats the rat on private property? Is there a difference?
That is an excellent, I would say that's not only not a naive question, that's a very insightful question. And if that rat were to be off federal property, it would not matter. Our argument, though, in terms of if that cat were to go after the rat, if you owned that cat, they might bring charges against you. The difference being that the federal government, in this case, it would have to be a different official, basically, in this case. And here, what we're looking to challenge is the federal officials who are going off of federal lands. They're relying on the part of the Constitution that gives them authority over federal land, and they're trying to expand it beyond federal land. They're trying to say that they have some degree of control over land that's close to federal land, but not federal land. And that's an issue that Pacific Legal often picks up on and says, no, you can't expand your authority beyond what the Constitution gives you. And here it's the property clause, not the takings clause in the Fifth Amendment, but rather the property clause where the federal government has the right to own property and control that property. But in fact, if an endangered species is eaten by a cat and you control that cat, that could be charged. You could be charged with a take under the Endangered Species Act.
Let me ask this question then. Have you, as a lawyer for Pacific Legal Foundation, have you sat down and have they, the other side, provided you with information and photographs as to a discernment of what the Key Largo wood rat looks like that might be different than any other doggone rat?
Yes, well, their explanation is that the rat is indigenous to the Keys, which, as I say in my article that I think you may have read, is as if the rat sprung up like Adam in the book of Genesis in the Keys, which of course is ridiculous. It's just a cat. It's just a rat that somehow got to the Keys. And then they say he likes a particular kind of wood. And that, they say, makes this a unique rat entitled to protection that, frankly, I would say is preposterous. Pacific Legal is often bringing suit against the government and challenging the government when it tries to create subspecies among creatures, whether they be birds or vermin, rats in this case, where they try and say, or panthers, they try and say that a species is different from another part of the country, say, basically based on geography. And all of a sudden, a species that really is widely dispersed all over the country, like, say, the mountain lion. In Florida, they call it a Florida panther, and it becomes endangered.
We have a caller with a question, Mark. I knew it was going to be just a matter of minutes, and then people were going to say, what kind of idiocy is this? Caller, go ahead for my attorney friend, Mark Miller. Go ahead.
I'd just like to say thanks for the work you do. I've worked in years past with the Pacific Legal Foundation on the wolf issue and some other things, but thanks for what you're doing. But how about the birds of prey? And what are they doing about those?
That really is a good question, caller. And Mark, what about the birds of prey? How are they going to stop the birds of prey, if they have any in that area? How are they going to stop them from eating the so-called wood rat?
Yeah, that's a very good point. That in fact, even with these prosecutions and these threatened prosecutions, the government has had to admit that cats are just one problem that this rat has. And in fact, when they tried to plant a colony of these rats elsewhere on another little island, they immediately were basically all eaten up by birds of prey and other predators. And so it is such a, like I said earlier, a fool's errand what the federal government is doing here. There's 1,000,001 of these fool's errands. This just is the one that's in my backyard since I'm in Florida. And so it's a bit of a game of whack-a-mole, where the federal government comes up with 101 different dumb ideas, and we are playing whack-a-mole with them, and this is one of those ideas.
You know, Mark, what would happen, and I'm not trying to be facetious, because if I lived there, I would do this, and people that know me know I would. I would either go out and invest in 1,000 or more boxes of decon, and I would put them all around the perimeter of my property. I would kill each and every one of those rats if I had the occasion. What happens to the property owner in that case?
Well, as an attorney, Zeb, I'm going to encourage you not to do that. Of course, we're speaking hypothetically, but you would be right in the crosshairs of the federal government prosecuting you should you do that. I'll note that this is a complete foolishness, but it's also sort of offensive, because the federal government has done in league with local and state officials is it will actually trap the cat, and then it has killed cats over the last few years.
Oh, boy.
So to save rats, it's killing cats, and the cats are simply doing what evolution trained them to do.
Oh, my.
And so we're killing cats to save rats, and it's outlandish. It's happened in the Keys. I met a Vietnam veteran who takes care of a number of cats in the Keys, and he's actually seen many of his cats killed by the local authorities because they supposedly were threatening these Key Largo rats.
Oh, my goodness. We've got another caller with a question. Go ahead, caller. Please, you're on the air.
Okay, let's take the wolf situation. They haven't done a very good job of managing that. We're being overrun with wolves because of their stupid program. And now we're talking about rats and mice who multiply probably 3, 4, 5 times faster than wolves do. This is going to cause an epidemic. Rats carry all kinds of diseases and everything. Let's become Americans and treat this country the way we should. Thank you.
A good statement right there. Go ahead and respond, Mark, if you would, please.
I wholeheartedly agree. When you read this article about Mr. Dixon, the bureaucrat for Fish and Wildlife who's in charge here, he sounds like an awfully nice guy, but eminently misguided. The idea that his life's crusade is to protect a vermin from cats is astounding. And, I'm sure the federal government can find him something useful to do, but protecting rats is not that.
Do you have any semblance of a monetary figure as to how much of your and my tax dollars have gone to protect rats?
Oh, well, certainly, easily, we could say tens of thousands of dollars, because they have workers working full-time to build nests for these rats. They've actually tried to set up some of the nests off the federal property, which to me is just inviting some of the controversies that we've seen in the Keys over these rats, because they're actually trying to move the rats out of the federal parkland to basically create conflict with the cat owners. Then you've got the federal government setting up cameras to catch the rats. Then you've got, to catch the cats at night chasing rats. Then you've got a nice country club nearby where the bureaucrat official has to discuss what he's doing with that country club and waste his time negotiating with them because some of their cats have been caught up in the federal maw of idiocy that is this cats versus rats program. So it's fair to say, without having done any sort of FOIA requests, that you're talking between the employment, the time, and the money being spent on cameras and building nests, you're talking tens of thousands of dollars.
And Mark, a lot of people might think this is a facetious kind of ha-ha story. It's not. It's just another story that shows and indicates how the federal government wants to, with the Endangered Species Act, not really protect the species, but to control you and me. Would you buy that?
I would totally agree, because if they didn't feel that way, why are they prosecuting local homeowners, local property owners who are doing nothing other than living their lives and not bothering anyone because a cat supposedly chased a rat? Instead, this homeowner who lives between a federal park and a state park is getting harassed by a federal official because, just as you said, Zeb, they're trying to control him. They're trying to make him get rid of his cat. And it's an example, just like the federal government trying to control our school bathrooms. It's an example of the federal government being way beyond what our founding fathers thought they should be doing. The overreach is so egregious that they can tell us what bathrooms to use, and they can tell us what house pets we're supposed to have. And again, it may seem minimal, it may seem just foolish, but if we don't push back on these little things, whether it be bathrooms, whether it be what kind of pet I'm allowed to own, then who knows how much further they will go.
Yeah. I am sitting here, and I'm not trying to be facetious at all, but I am really shocked that the Florida State Department of Health and health officials aren't doing something to go up and get in a confrontation with the state senators and officials to just tell them how absolutely damn dumb this is.
Well, that's where you're going to run into, Zeb, as I know you know, the supremacy clause. If those state officials try and take on the feds are going to say, well, we have a trump card, we have the U.S. Constitution, we can do whatever we want. They play that trump card in ways that are unconstitutional. But what you'll find usually is the state officials will kowtow to the feds, particularly in a situation where the Endangered Species Act is in play. In fact, we've got other situations here in Florida, much more, I don't want to say important, because I think all these situations with the Endangered Species Act and overreach by the government applying it are important. But we have a situation where there's a bird that alights in the Everglades, and because that bird doesn't like water, the feds are refusing to allow the state to release some of the of Lake Okeechobee water that is flooding the east coast and the west coast of Florida with toxic polluted waters. the water should flow into the Everglades. But to protect the bird that doesn't like that water, they're not putting the water into the Everglades. And that's another case PLF has looked at. And again, the state knows what's right, but it can't take on the feds. And in fact, Governor Rick Scott has had many brushes with the feds and the EPA and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the Fish and Wildlife about this Endangered Species Act bird. And when it comes to state versus feds, the feds are usually going to exert their authority. And that's why you're seeing more and more of the states suing the federal government.
You know, I'm just sitting here, and I'm so thankful for people like you and the Pacific Legal Foundation. And, Mark, I mean it. God bless you. I don't have the personality. I don't have the temperament to stand up and listen to somebody like this Mr. Dixon or the U.S. Fish and Wildlife protect rats over human beings' health and welfare or house cats. I mean, you must have the patience of Job.
I don't know. You might ask my kids about that, Zeb. But I thank you very much for your compliments. At Pacific Legal, of course, we're a nonprofit, and I would encourage your listeners to consider going to our website, pacificlegal.org, and if they like what I'm doing and they like some of the other cases that they can find and read about on our website, they might consider donating, because the reason we're able to represent people, whether it be Captain Slate or other property owners that we represent at the Supreme Court of the United States, is because of donations. We don't charge our clients anything.
All right. Well, listen, Mark, God bless you. Come back soon. Let us know if there's an update to this story. And I absolutely support you and Pacific Legal Foundation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zeb.
God bless. You know, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't that just highlight where our country is going? I mean, complete insanity and idiocy. They're protecting rats, vermin, absolute pathetic vermin in Florida, and trapping and killing house cats that are doing what house cats do. Oh, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Don't forget, my dear friend, Clark Kaufman, your District 25B representative, encouraged you to support and vote, yes, on House Joint Resolution HJR 5, which is an amendment to the Idaho Constitution to ensure the separation of powers of the executive and legislative branches. Vote November 8th. Paid for by the committee to elect Clark Kaufman, Debbie Kaufman, Treasurer. Thank you very much. Hey, don't forget to our friends at Redder's Showcase. Hello, Guy. How are you? 2611 Overland and Burley. They're having a harvest value sale right now, by golly. Great deals on certain items up to 12 months, same as cash. And they're having all Whirlpool appliances and certain furniture on sale. Serta mattresses. You better go in and check out all the savings. Twin sizes starting at just $99. It's not going to last long. So get to Redder's Showcase for all these great deals at 2611 Overland in Burley. Right now, we're going to send it over to Wheels for these good words, and we'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
I'm still shaking my head, thinking and wondering how stupid our government can be protecting rats and vilifying cats in Florida, and it's going to get larger than that. Unbelievable. Don't forget Lennox, and of course I'm talking about Ramsey Heating and Electric offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, an air conditioner, a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call them today at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 678-0459, and find out how Ramsey's and Lennox can save you money. Also want to remind you about Clark Kaufman. Your District 25B representative, Clark Kaufman, has served on the Revenue and Taxation Committee, Transportation and Defense Committee, and the Business Committee. He asks for your vote again on November 8th. Clark Kaufman for District 25B representative, paid for by the committee to re-elect Clark Kaufman, Debbie Kaufman, Treasurer. I am honored that it's been a long time since I've had this gentleman on the phone. It hasn't been because we couldn't get together or wanted to get together. He just absolutely has been busy trying to run a ranch and also be Speaker of the House, etc. Good morning to Representative Scott Bedke. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm doing really well, Zeb. I have to admit that I got a little warmed up over your last segment there about the rats in Florida.
You know, Scott, how dumb can we be?
I hope you can hear me. I'm down at out south of Oakley, up on a ridge where I've got a good cell phone signal. So anyway, if you can, but I did want to talk to you today about something that's on the ballot this November, which is HJR 5.
Absolutely. Let me just ask you this. Why would there be opposition to HJR 5 when people really understand it and know what it involves, and it keeps our voices being heard through the legislature? How could we not want to support that?
Well, just I can't answer that. I mean, this is what we've been doing in Idaho for over 30 years. But you and I know that there's such a thing as governmental creep, that they just never can leave you alone. The courts seem to never leave you alone, and so this ability that the legislature has had since before 1985 to do rules review is an important check and balance to counter the exact same things that you just described in your last segment. All of that stuff that is going awry in Florida is coming about by a federal rules and regulations. Congress is not acting and not making rules with regard to cats and rats. It's the agencies that are promulgating rules or writing rules that have the full force and effect of law. In Idaho, when the agencies write a rule, all those rules come back to the legislature for review. It's a very simple civics lesson here. The legislative branch writes the rules, or writes the law. The executive branch carries out the law, and the judicial branch judges that law against a constitutional standard. And so in Idaho, when the executive branch agencies pass rules or write rules that have the full force and effect of law, then they come back to the legislature to be approved or rejected, frankly, and because the legislature wrote the underlying law, and it's up to them to decide whether the rule is in accordance with the intent of the original law. It makes perfect sense to me. There are critics out there that say, "Oh, this was on the ballot 2 years ago, and so the people have spoken." But that it only failed by about 0.6% statewide. It passed in our area here, and by a pretty good margin. And but a lot of people afterwards came to me and said, "Hey, Mr. Speaker, we didn't know what that really meant," and I would explain it to them, and they said, "Oh, is that all that was?" And then I said, "Yeah," and he said, "Well, we kind of made a mistake, didn't we?" And I said, "Well, arguably you did." And so after a lot of thoughtful people came to me and said, "We would like to have, let's declare a mulligan here and do it again," that's why this is on the ballot. This is not just the legislature being arrogant in the face of the vote of the people here, and certainly in our area, it passed with flying colors, because I think this area understands. I mean, we went to great lengths. I mean, you remember 2 years ago we were on your program and others, and we tried to explain this as many times as we could, and so here we are. I think that there's not very many times that a measure comes through the Idaho legislature with near unanimous support. Both Democrats and Republicans were in favor of this resolution that would amend the Constitution, because they understand we get to see, we have a front row seat for government overreach, and when that happens, then let's just use an example here. Let's say that with your business, that there was some federal, some state agency that wrote a rule that changed the way, let one of your supporters, one of your sponsors, Ramsey's Heating and Electric. Well, they do a lot of electrical wiring and a lot of heating and air conditioning. Well, there's a lot of code, a lot of rules, if you will, that go along on how best and what, to do that. It is, so they've passed rules at different times, and then people at Ramsey's, Keith Ramsey, for example, has called me up and to tell me that this rule is not going to work, Scott, and you as my elected official, is there anything you can do? And so we've been able to go in and get those rules changed, get those rules rejected, send everybody back to the negotiation table to rewrite the rules. That happens time and time again in this state, whether it's Department of Agriculture, Department of Water Resources, the Department of Education. Last year, there were rules that dealt with the science standards in Idaho schools. They seem to be too heavy towards evolution and not give adequate time to the creationist view, and so those rules were rejected because citizens came to their elected officials, and there was an outcry about the rules. It's much more effective to hold me responsible as your elected official than to go and complain to a bureaucrat or someone that works at a state agency that does not have the ability to rewrite the rules. Other states don't have this ability like Idaho has. Obviously, the federal government does not, and you can see how just the other end of the spectrum when the administrative branch of the government goes so far out of whack like they had at the federal level because the Congress does not review and have a chance to accept or reject those regulations, and you can see what happens when that runs amok for 50 years. Anyway, this is an easy one as far as I'm concerned, Zeb.
Well, Scott, let me ask you this, and I'm going to put it in very simple layman's terminology, and correct me, but it also, by having HJR 5 in effect, it absolutely stops a governor, much the same as what we're seeing on a federal national level with the power of the president with executive powers. It would stop a governor from basically kind of being heavy-handed on a lot of issues that they want to run through, would it not?
That's exactly right. Lately, the governor of Idaho has not been that far out of step with the state legislature. But I don't know what the next election cycle will bring, and neither do you, and neither does anyone else. It's just an effective check and balance on the balance on the separation of powers. Other states. For example, take the rat example that you talked about last half hour. Congress could pass a law that would fix all of that, but in the process of passing that law, the President of the United States, who is the executive of the EPA and the federal agencies that are enforcing those rules, he would have to sign that bill into law, and it's kind of like the fox guarding the hen house. If you keep the powers separate and siloed from each other, then it forces the branches of the government to work together.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like what I think most citizens expect of their government, is that we coordinate, that we work together, and that we don't run roughshod over citizens and their businesses. This is a common sense vote here.
I'm kind of shocked that someone like Attorney General Lawrence Wasden would come out and make statements like this proposed amendment will allow the legislature to permanently invade the discretion of the executive branch and second-guess many policy decisions. It sounds to me like Mr. Wasden and others in state government are not on the same page.
Well, that would appear to be true, but let's examine Mr. Wasden's function in state government. Number one, in each of these state agencies resides a deputy attorney general that reports right back to the attorney general. These deputy attorney generals are the lawyers that write all of these rules. So in many ways, the Attorney General is speaking to his own employees here and sticking up for them in the process. They don't like to be second guessed. They think that their work product is sacred, and but it's a very healthy thing that after those lawyers that he employs write the rules, it's a very healthy thing that those rules come back for a look-see at the legislative level. We get a lot of rules every year, and we don't reject a lot of rules, but there's always a 10 or 12 every year that we reject. And this is not a harsh thing. All this does is send the parties back to the negotiation table. So going back to the heating and electric example from earlier, all it does is send the electricians back to the negotiation table with the state agency that is over that, and they sit down and they write rules so that so that the houses are wired safely and the buildings are wired safely. It's not, so they don't get run over in the rulemaking process. And if the agency overreaches as they're writing these rules, then the business can say, well, I'm going to take this to the legislature. And in this case, they did. The legislature overrode the rule or rejected the rule, and it sent them right back to the negotiation table. Only the second time, the interests of the business were incorporated into the rule. It's not like the business wanted to run roughshod over the intent of the law. It just was impractical the way they had it written.
Absolutely.
And they raised the issue to their elected official. We brought it to their attention. We rejected the rule and sent them all back to the negotiation table, and the world went on a happier place. That's all this is. And another thing we've been criticized for by the same person is that this has been, that this doesn't change anything. Well, I hope that it won't change anything because it's been working so well for over 30 years here in Idaho. We take it completely for granted. Businesses take it completely for granted. Citizens take it completely for granted. But it's a practice that we employ here that makes us the envy of many other states because they don't have the ability to reject these executive branch rules like we do here. All this does is it puts it in the Constitution so that it's not, so that a court can't come in and change it.
Absolutely.
Let me give you a little history lesson on this. So we started, in Idaho, we passed a law. Again, this law was signed. This was signed into law by then, I believe it was Governor Cecil Andrus, and it was signed into law that the legislature would have the ability to do rules review. We went along, nothing, no big problems for about 5 or 6 years, and then in 1990 there was a objection by the then Andrus administration to the legislatures rejecting a health and welfare rule. And they took us to court. They took us to the Idaho Supreme Court. And the Idaho Supreme Court, on a 3-2 decision, upheld the legislature's ability to do rules review. So since 1990, we've been doing that on the strength of this 3-2 court decision. And again, you don't know what the makeup of the court is going to be in 10 years, but this practice has served all Idahoans very well, and it has forced the executive branch and the legislative branch to cooperate when it comes to writing rules. This, like I said earlier, this is a really simple one.
All right.
People are trying to make it difficult, and they accuse the legislature of a power grab. Well, the power grab is on the other side of the table because they're not able to lord it over the legislature and by extension the citizens with the rulemaking process. Again, you need look no farther than the federal example to see what can turn into if left unchecked.
Absolutely. And I noticed that there are many, many major groups that are backing HJR5, including the Idaho Farm Bureau, Milk Producers of Idaho, Idaho Chamber of Commerce Alliance, Idaho Realtors Association, the Idaho Water Users Association, and quite frankly, it's a great way for us, the common citizens, to hold our state government accountable. I think you'd agree. I'm almost out of time. Give me a quick summation on that, if you would, please, Speaker Bedke.
If the citizens that are listening to this have a problem, they need to ask themselves: do they want to go to the state agency and talk to an employee about their problem, or do they want to come to the person that they elected to represent them? And it's just as simple as that. The fact that these rules are reviewed by their elected officials, and if there's a problem, they can raise that, and then we can bring the process to a screeching halt and make everybody sit down at the table and write something that works for everybody. That is how government should work. That's the way it's been working for over 30 years in Idaho. Putting this ability in the Constitution assures that it will happen that way well into the future.
All right, Scott.
All the things we have to argue about, this is not one of them.
I agree.
Common sense measure that ensures good government into the future.
Absolutely. Speaker of the House, Scott Bedke, thank you so much for being on our program. And now you can take your pickup off that mountaintop and get back to work. Thank you, sir.
You don't have to go too far to get into snow up here, Deb.
I'm glad you're there and not me. God bless you, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Deb.
Take care. Speaker of the House, Representative Scott Bedke, and a very clear explanation of HJR5 and why it needs to be voted in, and quite frankly, to keep our voice in government. I've got to pay some bills. The weather forecast is brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. You know what? Don Scarrow and the crew, locally owned custom meat processor for over 20 years, just absolutely delicious meats. Please get a hold of them today. You'll be so glad you did. Scarrows Meats over in Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Looks like we're in for some rain showers for the next couple of days, and it is going to be windy. Looks like we are in a wind advisory through about 6 o'clock tonight, so be careful if you're out there. Winds out of the west steady, about 20 miles an hour, gust possible 35 plus. Rain showers off and on for today, high of 52 tonight, low of 38. Tomorrow, more rain showers in the forecast. Going to be windy as well, high of 47 with an overnight low of 31. And as we get towards midweek, hopefully we're going to see some sunshine. Looking at a high of 53 for Wednesday with an overnight low of 31. Thursday, mostly sunny, 61 and maybe 65 for Friday. Yesterday's high was 60. The overnight low was 41. That's your weather for Zep at the Range.
Gina, thank you. Brought to you by Scarrows Meats this hour, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. And they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Wanted to remind you that tomorrow on the program, holy cow, we got some more interesting folks. I had so many calls and so many emails. Hey, it's good to have Frosty Woldridge back on the program. He's going to be back again tomorrow morning at 9:06. And then we're going to be talking to, let's see, we've got Tony McCowan, and he is the master gardener telling us how to wrap things up for the fall. Dr. History is going to be on the program, and then we're going to have the Rock Creek Fire Department on here, and we're going to be visiting with them about somehow wrong information got out to the public, and we're going to be sharing that story with you. Real quick, caller, I've got a minute left. Go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking about the Speaker of the House that we have and the Speaker that we just heard. And I said to myself, what we need is the Speaker that we just heard running the Speaker of the House in D.C. Of course, that's not a possibility, but you see, when we make these people explain what is going on, it works. And then an informed public demands truth and justice from their government. But when the public is uninformed and willfully distracted, willfully ignorant, it just is so frustrating.
I couldn't agree more, and you said it very succinctly, and that's exactly the kind of a government that the Democrats and the left, and especially Hillary Clinton, wants to exacerbate if she's elected. Randy, God bless you. I was wondering if I'd hear from you this morning.
Well, I am very busy, and I'm on my way to Salt Lake, and it's just been hectic. We're so busy, thank God. But let's hope we stay that way with the Donald Trump presidency.
All right, Randy, God bless you. Drive carefully. Thank you very much. Thank you. Don't forget the big fall tire sale going on right now at all 7 Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7, and the great big fall tire sale. My goodness, get in there today. They've got the best tire value promise in the industry. Whatever the road throws at you, from potholes to nails, any road hazard, their free guarantee protects you. And don't forget the best in brake service with professionally trained technicians and the brake industry's best warranty. The best in shocks and struts, the best in front end alignments, the best in batteries. Oh my, have your battery checked. Getting colder outside. You stop in for the best in service with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Wow, good program today. Thank you for all your input. Thank you for all your calls. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06, and we'll ride the horse until 11 o'clock right here on K-Bar 1230, and then streaming live all over the world on ZebBell.com. And remember, before we have this word for Senator Crapo, the way things were are the way things ought to be. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow morning.